want to take this opportunity, however, to suggest that we all hail heroic. That's all I'm saying.
Forgive me, Doctor. I'm receiving a number of distress calls.
To suggest that we all
I don't doubt it. Forgive me, Doctor. I'm receiving a number of distress calls.
Y'all remember to kick you away for some time. Have a mighty fine night.
You come in peace, surrender or be destroyed. Care to make war? Please surrender.
When the appointed hour arrives, the Marines will deactivate their cloaking devices and begin transporting Klingon shock troops directly to the landing zone.
Landing zone?
When the appointed
Where?
hour arrives,
Tell me.
the Marines
Why
will
not?
deactivate
Your
their
feeble
cloaking
weapons will be
devices
useless against us.
transporting
We
Klingon
will kill all your
directly
males
to the landing
and take
zone.
your females to mate with. We will kill all your males and take your females to
You people, you've been running this planet like a seaport planet. From now on, it's going to be under one roof. You're going to run it like a business. That means you're going to make a profit.
Look at these 3 words written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before, or sin's tall word, proudly saying, "We the people."
Hi, I'm Nicole DeBoer. I played Lieutenant Ezri Dax on DS9, and I welcome you to Birdo Prey 5 channel. Hail Karoga.
Hello world, it's Birdo Prey 5 Qapla, and welcome to my live review of Star Trek Lower Decks, Episode 10 of Season 1, No Small Parts, the season finale of Lower Decks. And if this seems like deja vu to you, Yitza, it is. It is. Yesterday morning, about a couple hours earlier, I attempted to go live. I managed to get 30 minutes in or so. I was in severe pain from a kidney stone, and it just didn't work out. I unlisted that video. In this video, I do hope to keep public as my review of the episode, and we're going to talk about what this means for the next season, which is already well in the works, according to Mike McMahon, who happened, if you don't know, Mike McMahon is the showrunner, the brains behind Lower Decks. He wrote the first episode, and he also wrote this last episode. He did not write any of the episodes in between. Now, I'll be honest, the first episode was I believe, lowest rated episode. Possibly the first 2 episodes were pretty low. And then there was one low one in the middle of the season towards the end. And then there's this. So I originally, before the series started, I had the highest hopes in Mike McMahon, because I could tell when I saw Mike McMahon, when he was talking on the Comic-Con panels and other interviews, Mike McMahon was a fan. He was a true Star Trek fan, and Alex Kurtzman was not. And Alex Kurtzman admits as much. Kurtzman says he was more of a Star Wars guy, and it comes through in everything he does. But to be fair, in Lower Decks, Kurtzman is only, I believe, an executive producer. He doesn't have a ton of say in the day-to-day operations of the show. That has been Mike McMahon. So I have always said, I was always saying before Lower Decks began, and before Picard began even, that I had more hope in Lower Decks than I did for Picard, because Picard was being written and directed and showrun by literally the exact same people who did Star Trek Discovery. So why you think that just the addition of Patrick Stewart was going to make them have a great show, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, I watched Picard. I liked the first few episodes, but then the whole series fell apart for me at the end. To be frank, this has been the polar opposite. And again, without getting into spoilers just yet, Lower Decks came together at the end, where Picard fell apart at the end. And to reach back to Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones was a exceptionally great series throughout 90% of its run. But in the last season, it floundered so bad, and the final episode was so awful that it ruined an entire series. I cannot go back and watch Game of Thrones season 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 because even though those were great episodes at the time, and I would have ranked them 8, 9s, and 10s on TV. I mean, the Red Wedding, it was amazing television. We were living, I thought, in the golden age of television. But they ruined the characters. They ruined the entire notion of the show. They ruined the Night King. They ruined every single thing in the last episode in the last season, that it completely ruined the series. This is the complete opposite. They got everything so right. And Mike McMahon, specifically, as he was the writer on this episode, at least he's the credited writer. There may have been others. I'm not sure how it works. But Mike McMahon is the credited writer, so credit where credit is due. He got everything so perfect that it made the previous episodes better. It made the previous episodes better. Some of those episodes that I rated a 5, now that I feel that I stuck through them, it actually feels like, well, I was doing it for a reason, and that reason was episode 10. That aired yesterday morning. Depending when you watched it, was available yesterday morning. So, Mike McMahon, I offer up an apology. I doubt you will ever hear this or see this, but I doubted you. I doubted you after the first couple episodes. Listen, I'm not saying you made the best Star Trek, because frankly, we both know you didn't. But you made the best Star Trek since season 4 of Enterprise, at least. And I was very happy. In fact, it was certainly one of the funnier jokes, in my opinion, that was made in this recent episode. Actually went back to Enterprise 4th season specifically. Although it wasn't a particularly good episode of Enterprise, it was one of the funniest jokes in this series, in this episode today. So that's what I wanted to get out before we get to the spoilers. Because from this point on, there are going to be spoilers. So here is the warning for those who are just, casually listening and not sure what I said. Okay, good. Now you've had the spoiler warning. And with that, let me first say a hello to Yitza and JP's and What's This Face McWhatnot, Qapla. Thank you guys for coming. I know we are super early, but this is the time I have that I can stream. Tonight at 5 p.m. or thereabouts, we will be doing a very special Bed Life. Today, October 9th, would have been Dad Opray's 69th birthday. So we are going to do a special Bed Life to Dad Opray this evening. But I wanted to get this review done this morning so we could get it up. And welcome Eastland Burkholder Qapla. Okay, so basically, like last time, I'm going to just do my review, and then afterwards we'll come back and I'll check the chat. Okay, so with the spoilers, this episode starts off. This episode starts off with let's see, where should we start? There's a crew. Okay, we'll skip a little. There's a new crew on a different ship. It's one of the ships we had seen. The Rubidoux had been destroyed earlier in the season, and there's this new ship, the Salvag or something, and you see this new captain and this new crew on, and it's a brand new ship. Now this, I'll be honest, this goes a little bit against what they did in the episode, and I'll be at the first third of the episode, I was not sure if this was going to be a good episode or not. The first third of the episode, I was a little hesitant to I was about a third of the way, maybe a quarter to a third of the way. I had to pause to Jaloja, and I'm looking and I'm like, is this even going to be worth it? This episode, it just nothing. There was some funny stuff. There was some fun stuff. But it was nothing that was jumping out at me. It was the last 2/3, I would say, of the episode where everything really starts coming together. So actually, the very beginning, the Cerritos crew, well, the captain is down on the planet Beta 3, which is, if that sounds familiar, as soon as I saw Beta 3, I was like, Beta 3? That's a easy low number. Like, well, why is it so simple? Usually it's at least 2 letters and a number. And I realized Beta 3 is from Star Trek, the original series. It was the planet where Landru, the computer, was controlling everybody, and they would have the Purge. Well, they didn't call it the Purge. They called it the Red Hour, but it was like literally the Purge. The movie The Purge. All crime is legal in the Purge, it's legal for a day. On this society, all crime is legal for 1 hour a day. And so people just go wild. And even though it was completely against the Prime Directive, Kirk and Spock said this isn't gonna work. And they actually ended up destroying Landru, which we thought at the time irreparably destroying Landru. How, again, this is why I was a little concerned in the beginning of the episode. Like, okay, they brought Landru back. That was fun. But if you think about it, why is Landru back? Landru was destroyed. I mean, it's like Independence Day. You watch Independence Day and they destroy the Empire State Building. And then to a society that has no way of rebuilding, say. Now, granted, in Independence Day, society knew how to rebuild skyscrapers. But you destroy something they have no way of repairing. How is it magically repaired? We'll find. We'll just have to give them a pass on that. And again, this was early in the episode, so this is why I was a little hesitant if this was even going to be a good episode. But yeah, it was fun to see Landru. And they play off the fact that, the people decided to go back to worshiping Landru because it was better. They thought it was fun. At least some of them did. And Captain Freeman is having a crisis of conscience. She basically, everybody admits Starfleet is great at first contacts, but second contacts and the follow-up, Starfleet is not so good at. And we have canon to suggest that is true, at least in the form of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Star Trek II, the entire premise is based on the fact that in Star Trek, the original series, or TOS, which Commander Ransom actually calls, he's like, those TOS people, or those TOS years. And the Captain Freeman was like, TOS, what are you talking about? TOS. He's like, that's what I call the 2260s. It stands for those old scientists like Scotty and Spock. He's like, it seems like every week they were finding new aliens back then. So that was a very funny meta reference. I like that. That one was pretty good. But where was I? Where was I? Hello, AK Whitestone. Oh shit. Where was I? God damn it. What was I just talking about before I went off on the tangent? Oh, this is not good. This is not good. I know you guys can't hear it because of the microphone suppression, but just as I went live, all hell broke loose in the house because Nephew Opre woke up. TOS, Landrew. Yeah, TOS and Landrew. There was something. Oh man, I was going down some road. Anyway, crisis of conscience. The Captain Freeman was having a crisis of conscience because, right, everything that Starfleet does, good at first contact, bad at second. And it's in canon from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. If you go back to it, I mean, the entire premise of that movie is because in the original series, Kirk decided to beam down Khan and his people to a uninhabited planet, City Alpha 5, and then never checked on him. 30 plus years went by and nobody ever checked to see how they were doing. It was only by coincidence that, and bad coincidence, that they didn't have like a buoy or a marker or something, that the Reliant, I believe, no, was it the Reliant? Whatever. The ship that Chekhov was on, no, it wasn't the Reliant. Was it the Reliant? Yes, it was the Reliant. That the Reliant happened to be looking for a place to detonate Genesis, and for some reason they went to the City Alpha system, even though Chekhov and the Federation should have known that they put a gang of criminal masterminds on the neighboring planet. Maybe this should never have been a planet in consideration for Genesis to begin with, but they weren't even going to check on City Alpha 5. They were going to City Alpha 6 to test detonate Genesis. Nobody ever checked on Khan, and as you guys know how Star Trek 2 went, City Alpha 6 apparently blew up, and City Alpha 5 became City Alpha 6 through some miracle of orbital dynamics. Nobody noticed, and boom, we get one of the best Star Trek movies ever created. So Freeman is saying how she's very upset. She's upset with Starfleet that these societies should never have been allowed to get as bad as they did, and that they need to do better on second contacts, which is true, which is probably true. And so this starts the episode. While this is happening, we see this crew of the former crew of the Roboducks or whatever. They've got this new ship, the Slovag, and they're near a sun, they're near a star, and all of a sudden the captain is like wants to make sure the ship stays in pristine condition, and it's a brand new ship. It's still a California class, but it's a brand new ship. It's even got the film over the displays, like when you get a new phone or electronic, you got to pull that plastic film off so the display is all shiny. Well, it still has those things on, and the captain doesn't want to pull them off because she wants to keep the ship as pristine as it could possibly be. And I get it. But then, while she's talking, this giant ship with a bunch of guns pulls up and just starts blasting them before they even get a chance to raise the shields. And then once they get the shields up, they're not very effective. And you don't know who they are. Clearly they're a bad guy. The voices seemed a little bit familiar, but let's face it, all Trek voices are the same. Hell, I'd say the same 10 people play 50% of the alien parts, it seems. Whatever. The voices don't matter. they start attacking, and then they have this weird tech, this grappling hook that shoots out, and it captures, gets around part of the ship. For some reason, the captain and no one on the ship senses that there's literally a grappling hook attached to the ship, and she orders they go to warp, which is sensible, except if you have a grappling hook attached to your warp nacelle. Anyway, them attempting to go to warp rips the nacelle off the ship, causes it to be destroyed. So in the first few minutes, we see an actual total destruction of a Federation starship, of a Starfleet ship. The entire crew of the, I believe, the Salvador or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's some town in California. They're destroyed. They're killed. They killed an entire starship. Dead. And it's like, wow, that's kind of set the tone, like, holy crap. That's not supposed to happen in cartoons. Now, I know in the animated series there were ships that were lost, but so far in Lower Decks, we haven't seen anything with the emotional impact as the destruction of an entire ship. Okay, I mean, all those people were Starfleet. They all had lives. They all had family. It's not likely that you destroy a Starfleet vessel, but they did. They did it in the first, and that was like, oh my God, is this is going to be a more serious episode than we'd ever seen, and it was from that point on. So on the bridge of the Cerritos, they get notice that they received a partial distress signal, and Captain Freeman says, "Oh, I bet that captain is still getting used to her ship. Somebody probably pushed a button by accident." And they're like, "Well, the Cerritos and the Titan are the only ships in the area." So Freeman said, "No, we'll take it. I want to see the look on her face when she sees we had to respond to a distress call because, one of her crew don't know how to operate the ship." And they said, "Well, what part of space are they in?" They were in the Qapla system, I believe. And she says, "Well, there's nothing of danger in the Qapla system," which I think was kind of a stupid comment. Like, it's space. Anything can happen anywhere. To say that they're okay, maybe they're not on the Cardassian border, but so she dismisses that there was any real cause of danger and says they'll respond to the distress call, and they warp over. Meanwhile, other stuff is happening on the ship. We're getting. Oh, Jesus. Okay, I missed the big thing. I missed the big part. We'll bring it up. This is the point where the secret gets out. Okay. Before they were warping away from the Landru planet, Freeman says to warp out, and the bridge reports they can't warp out. There's still people on the ground. And she says, "I didn't order anyone on the ground." Now, of course, it turns out to be Mariner, and later we'll see Boimler. Mariner is doing her Robin Hood thing, as she calls it, and she's giving away a bunch of stuff, this time to the kids of the planet. She's giving away coloring books and crayons and toys. And she's like, "Yeah, it's much more fun to play with this stuff than, killing each other or whatever." And so Boimler comes walking by, and she's out of uniform. Boimler takes off his shirt, like his shirt of his uniform, and throws it on the side. And he comes walking over, and Mariner thinks, "Oh, Boimler's about to get on her for doing this again." And Boimler's like, "Oh no, I'm here. I don't want you to have all the fun." So he takes out a pack of crayons and starts giving them out too. He's like, "I want to have some fun also." And meanwhile, up on the ship they're realizing these two people are down there. So the bridge opens a comm line to Boimler, but Boimler doesn't hear it because his uniform is thrown over, a few feet away, but they can hear him and Mariner talking just fine. So on the bridge, they're hearing him and Mariner speak, and Boimler says, "The thing is, now I know your secret." And she's like, "What secret?" Oh, she's like, "Oh, the fact I don't eat after 7. She's like, "Yeah, it really works. You should try it." And Boimler was like, no, I know that the captain is your mother. And everybody on the bridge hears this. And Mariner gets like tension. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. And Boimler's like, come on, I know. Captain Freeman's your mother. Your dad's an admiral. You're basically Starfleet royalty. Now I understand why nothing ever happens to you. You never get repercussions. He's like, but it's fine. He's like, now we can both have fun, and your mom can look out for both of us. So Mariner's like, that's not how it works, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, don't you ever tell, this is a secret. It can't ever get out. Meanwhile, it's completely out. The entire bridge crew has heard the secret. They're already talking. And so Freeman is incensed. And she runs to, it looks like the ops console, throws one of her crewmen out of the way, and immediately beams Mariner and Boimler up to the bridge while he's speaking, of course, with his eyes closed. He doesn't even know he's being beamed up. And right on the center of the bridge, he starts making a joke about Freeman being Mariner's mother. And then he opens his eyes and the entire crew is there. He's like, oh my God. Oh my God. So it starts off this episode. The secret is out. The secret is out. Mariner is now known as the daughter of the captain. And like everybody, as she walks down the hallway, people are all chatting amongst themselves. One guy comes out, somebody she used to date, and wants her to pass along something to the captain. She knocks into the cat doctor, who, to the cat Dr. Tanner's own true to self, she doesn't really give Mariner much credit for being the captain's daughter. But at the end of yelling at her, she does ask, hey, do you think your mom would mind if me and Lieutenant Shax hook up? She really wants to get her coital follicles or something around him. Disgusting. And that they just walk off camera. Which reminded me, and again, this was a bit of a disappointment in a good episode, but it's still a bit of a disappointment. They introduced us to the bird guy, the bird doc, last episode, Dr. Miglimu. And I would have bet money that he was going to have a part in this final episode, because just a cat chasing a bird, or they were going to be a couple or something. And I'm really kind of disappointed that we got the introduction of Miglimu last episode and zero payoff this episode. Now I forgive him because there is a lot of other payoffs we get throughout the episode about other things, but I really did miss the fact that Miglimu wasn't one of them. Okay, so anyway, it turns out they warp to where the distress call was, and they come out, and it's the ship, the Salvador, is in pieces, and they immediately in fact, as soon as they come out of warp, they see the debris field. They're about to smash into pieces. Ransom immediately calls for red alert, shields up, and the captain's like, is that the Salvador? And there's no life signs. Everybody's dead. And then the ship that was there that destroyed the Salvador starts shooting at the Cerritos. And it turns out the people on the alien ship are Paclids. Yeah, Paclids, the same ones that joke very slow species from Star Trek The Next Generation. Like, we are strong, we are Paclids, we make things go. And they steal Geordi. This moron race actually gets a plan that actually abducts Geordi LaForge and, almost has him work for him. So I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Paclids could have conceivably kind of absorbed some technology that actually does make them powerful. And so basically their ship is made up of parts of over 30 different species. They've just kept adding weapons from all other species to their ship. And now they keep thinking they're attacked. Every Federation ship to them is the Enterprise, which, and again, since we've already gone to the fact that there's spoilers, I thought we were going to see the Enterprise. As soon as they kept saying, you're not the Enterprise, we thought you were the Enterprise, I said, aha, we're going to see the Enterprise. The Enterprise is going to come by and save them, or the Enterprise is going to come by and do something. But I thought for sure we were going to see the Enterprise this episode. And spoiler alert, we do not. We do not. I was wrong. We see another famous ship, one that was hinted to already. We're going to end up seeing the Titan, which probably works better for the story. But considering they were calling every ship the Enterprise, I did think we were going to get an Enterprise, at least a flyby. Even if we didn't get to see who was on the ship, we could have maybe at least seen the Enterprise come in and fly by or something. But no, we don't get the Enterprise. So I guess they're saving something for next season. We'll get to that. So the Paclids start attacking. They send out the grappling hook. They've got the Cerritos grappled. Ransom orders them to warp out, and Captain Freeman stops it and says, no, that's exactly what the other ship would have done, and look what happened to them. And again, I feel like the sensors, now at least the first ship took more damage. At this point, the Cerritos hasn't really taken much damage. Their sensors should absolutely have told them that there was grappling hooks on two places at least of the Cerritos before they engaged warp engines. But it took the captain's brilliant mind to determine they shouldn't try to warp away. So they cut full power and they kind of just let the Paclids pull them in. And of course, the Paclids are like, we are strong. They take off their helmet and you see their Paclids. Okay, fine. So while they're being pulled in, Captain Freeman is like, we're out of options. Or Ransom's like, we're out of options. Captain Freeman said there's only one option left. And Mariner happens to be standing next to her. And she orders Mariner to come up with a half-baked scheme plan that, she'd never like. And she orders her to do it. And of course, Mariner, frankly, and again, this is still the first third of the episode, I believe, is still being a bit Mary Sue-ish, does in fact come up with a plan. She realizes that in order for all of this technology to work together, she asks Boimler, but for all this technology that the Paclids have stolen to work together, their computer system has to be, quote unquote, pretty open. So for some reason, Rutherford happened to be monitoring the entire conversation going on the bridge. And Rutherford's like, yep, so we need a computer virus. He's on it. And Ransom's like, who's going to be able to make a computer virus so quickly? They'd have to be some kind of I don't know what he said exactly, diabolical genius or whatever. So Rutherford runs to the holodeck and hello, Charlie, baby. Hi, Charlie. Aw, good morning, Charlie. Yeah. So Rutherford runs to the holodeck, and he turns on Badgie. He's updated him to version 2.5, beta 2.5. Technically, beta should be lower than 1, but okay, whatever. Beta 2.5. He turns on Badgie, and Badgie is like, well, to make a virus, you're going to have to turn off the safeties. And he's like, oh, you're not going to try to kill me again, are you? And Badgie doesn't say no. But he turns off the safeties anyway. And so Badgie's like, I've already have 3 viruses to disable the Paclid ship. But they've got to be delivered in person. Meanwhile, another arc that has been running through this show, Rutherford has been having trouble with his implant. The entire episode, again, towards the beginning, we saw this in the preview last week. There's an exocom, one of those flying sentient things that became sentient in the Next Generation. They didn't used to be able to talk, but now they can. We get an exocom from the Next Generation, and it apparently entered Starfleet, and it's the first exocom, I assume, to be assigned to a starship, and Tendi is supposed to be its ambassador. So she goes, meets the exocom as it comes off the shuttle with the new recruits, and we get introduced to the exocom. Meanwhile, Rutherford has been having trouble with his implant. Apparently, a piece fell off that there's like 1,000 different modes he never knew existed on his implant. And the only way to get to a mode is to cycle through all the other, 999 modes to get back to normal. So he presses the button and he goes through cowboy, he goes through British, which was kind of funny. He's like, oh, boy, what's all this there now? Yeah, in British voice. No Aussie. I was hoping it'd be Aussie. Rutherford, Aussie or something. No Aussie. But there was British, there was cowboy, there was sexy. There was so many. There were a bunch of modes. So all episode, he's trying to get back to normal. So he was in optimistic mode when he turned off the safety protocols and let Badgie make virus. And then Badgie's like, he's going to kill Rutherford. Okay, whatever. So they have the virus. So they all meet back up in the Captain Freeman gets hurt pretty bad during the fight. So they take her to and the Paclid start beaming in very slowly, but they start beaming in. So they're trying to take Freeman to sick bay. As they come into sick bay, the cat doctor makes a cat like meow, and then she like coughs and she starts talking normally. Get her to the bio bed or whatever. Anyway, so they're in sick bay, and like we need somebody who can implant the virus to the ship, to the Paclid ship. They got to be able to upload the virus. They've got to be able to get there undetected. They got to be able to fly through the vacuum of space. They got to be able to do all these things. And they're clearly describing the exocom. It was the perfect fit for the exocom. And they all look at the exocom, and Tendy's like, oh my God. Oh, also, this is where we were finding out what's the name of the exocom. Tendy was asking, do you have a name? Did you just do a numerical designation? And the exocom's like, no, I mathematically studied every language of the Federation and came out with the perfect name, Peanut Hamper. Okay, fine. That was supposed to be funny, I guess. I guess in a way it is, but it wasn't, considering the other stuff that we get in this episode. Okay, so Peanut Hamper says, oh, Teddy's like, Peanut Hamper, you're going to save the day. And Peanut Hamper is like, F that. No, I'm not. I'm pass. Peanut Hamper passes. And that's kind of like the exocoms. They didn't want to kill themselves in Next Gen. And, she realizes this as Peanut Hamper, I'm assuming is a female because it's a female voice. And you know what happens when you assume gender. Peanut Hamper is like, yeah, I'm going to pass. I don't want to go kill myself. In fact, so like everybody's like, you can't do this. You've got to do it, blah, blah, blah. And Peanut Hamper's like, I only joined Starfleet to piss off my dad. And she's like, you know what? I'm out of here. She beams herself out to where we don't know until the end of the episode. But she beams herself away and she's like, have fun, having your guts explode or whatever happens to you organics. And she leaves the episode. Okay, fine. So then Rutherford finally hits normal on his thing. He finally gets back to normal, and he volunteers. He says, I can do this. He takes this card that has the virus and he uploads it to his implant. And Tendi is like, no, Rutherford, you must be in some type of hero mode or something. Don't do it. Somebody has to do it or they're all going to die. But Tendi is really, really sad that Rutherford is volunteering. And in Rutherford's defense, this is his normal. He really is a hero. And in his normal mode, so he says, I can do it, blah, blah, blah. And Lieutenant Shax, the big Bajoran security officer that's basically a Klingon, but is Bajoran, picks him up. He's like, okay. He's like, and he picks up Rutherford, throws him over his shoulder. He's like, I'll get you there. And he starts running through the ship, kicking Paclid ass. They get into the shuttle bay. And Rutherford's like, I can walk, but Shax doesn't even care. He's so pumped. All Shax has ever wanted to do this entire season is blow things up and eject the warp core and blow things up and attack. So Rutherford is being carried around. Shax is kicking ass. They get to the shuttle bay. The only shuttle available is the Sequoia, which is the shuttle that's been under repair the entire season. Shax throws Rutherford into the shuttle. He gets in the shuttle. They don't even have time to go out the door. He just blasts a hole in the side of the ship, takes the shuttle out of the Cerritos. Then he blasts a hole into the side of the Paclid ship. Meanwhile, he's dodging all the phaser blasts and more grappling hooks. He blasts a hole into the middle of into the side of the Paclid ship. He gets the shuttle like through the hole. I'm not exactly sure how they get out of the shuttle because the opening for the shuttle's in the back, and like the shuttle is still sticking out into space. There's a force field, but whatever. They get out of the shuttle, and so Rutherford starts making the connection while Shax is fighting off dozens of Paclids. Shax is like shouting, "This is the greatest day of my life." He was so happy to be shooting things. And Rutherford has to connect to his brain. It happens to be, a cable in the Paclid ship that happens to fit the port on his implant. So he connects to his implant and he downloads the virus. It's getting to 96%. It's slowing down. He's like, what's going on? And then Badgie appears on the Paclid ship somehow. And Badgie's like, I'm not going to let this finish until you die. And he's like, but why, Badgie? Why? And Badgie's like, because you broke my neck, which he did in the previous Badgie episode. But in fairness, Badgie was trying to kill him. So, but Badgie is going to destroy the ship via explosion. So it's getting 96, 97, 98. So he's like, I'm not going to do it till you die. And then for some reason, Shax decides, well, I can save you, Rutherford. And he just, by sheer force, pulls this implant, this neuro implant out of Rutherford's head. So does it kill Rutherford? Like you would think this thing is part of his brain and stuff. No, it doesn't. He pulls this thing out of his head. Rutherford goes unconscious. But Shax throws him in the shuttle, and then with his sheer force, instead of going in the shuttle with him, stays behind. He pushes the shuttle out just with his own strength, and you see the force field cover the hole where the shuttle was. And Shax, I almost teared up a little bit. Shax pushes the shuttle out and says, I can still save you, Baby Bear. Now, Baby Bear, if you remember back to the episode where Rutherford was trying out all the different jobs on the Cerritos, when he gets to security, and he turns out that he has a program in his head, in his implant that they never used again, of course, that makes him a perfect fighting machine. He took out all the Borg in this Lieutenant Shax fighting program. Lieutenant Shax welcomed him to his bear pack because Shax called all of his security people his bear pack. And so when him calling him Baby Bear was Shax remembering the time that him and Rutherford kind of bonded. And so it was kind of sad. He's like, "Go, baby bear." He pushes him out, and the shuttle gets clear of the blast. The Paclid ship explodes, and Shax dies. Shax legit dies. They get the shuttle back. Rutherford. We'll catch up with Rutherford later. You know what? Let's just finish out Rutherford's. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so Rutherford's story is they, after removing this part of him, and after everybody's okay, and what you know what? No, let's not go there first. So after the ship blows up, after the Paclid ship blows up, and they think they're free, 3 more Paclid ships, at least as strong as the first one, appear, and now all 3 of them have grappling hooks on the Cerritos. So you're like, oh my God, there's no way they're ever going to get out of this. They barely escaped one, and the only person who could deliver the virus is already incapacitated. So you're like, legit, like, how are they going to get out of this? This is like a, I mean, it's honestly, it's like, we're like, well, we know they're going to get out of it somehow. But for a minute, I was like genuinely surprised. Were they going to talk their way out of this, fight their way out? Anyway, as the 3 Paclid ships are holding it in place, like they're ready to eat the ship up, the music changes, and you see an incoming signal. And Boimler's like, incoming signal, and he's like, it's the Titan. JP's, thank you, JP's. You've become a member of the channel. JP's, oh, Qapla, JP's has become a friend of Karoga. Thank you so much, JP's. I will get back to the chat in just a few minutes as I finish up the review. Welcome. Okay, so JP's. Thank you, JP's. Okay. So the Titan comes up. And the Titan is, of course, if you're not like a uber fan of Star Trek, the Titan is the ship that Riker became captain of in Nemesis. So the Titan and Deanna Troi, who was his wife, they got married at the end of Nemesis. Both Troi and Riker were on the Titan. And so the Titan comes in, the music changes to super TNG music, and the Titan is this awesome looking ship, and it is kicking ass. Like it honestly, although I love the Titan, although it's a good looking ship, they should have used the Defiant. Okay. They should have said it's the Defiant or something, because the Titan is basically like 4 times as powerful as the Defiant in this scene. And it's, I don't know about one-shotting, but it destroys at least one of the Paclid ships. It basically it kicks ass, and the Paclids are disintegrated or something by the time they're done. They're shooting phasers, they're shooting photon torpedoes. The Paclids can't even touch the Titan. Like, the Titan is the most overpowered ship ever compared to what's going on. So the Titan saves the Cerritos. Meanwhile, Mariner is actually the one in the command, in the captain's chair of the Cerritos while all this is happening, and Boimler's at ops or navigation while all this is happening. And so yay, Riker saves the day. We get to see the bridge of the Titan, and we get a very young looking Riker. I mean, honestly, he looks better in this than he did in Nemesis. And a very young looking Deanna Troi. Again, she looks better. Granted, these are cartoons, but they look better in their cartoon form than they did in their human form at the end of Nemesis. And anyway, so we see it and like, oh my God, this is the best. And we see Riker. He's like, oh my God, did somebody have a Paclid party and not invite me? And he's saying all these things. So they're blowing the Paclids out of space. And Marin, of course, they make contact with the Cerritos. And Riker and Mariner are, of course, old friends because that's just how Mariner is. She knows everybody. And while they were running to the sick bay, they had to fight off the Paclids. Mariner started opening all these compartments on the Cerritos where she had all the so-called contraband. So tons of weapons start falling from everywhere. The mother's like, how much contraband do you have on the ship? She's like, a lot. And like they're all different types of weapons, including a batleth, a bunch of Klingon knives and swords. And so that's what the Cerritos crew uses to fight the Paclids, because of course the Paclids came over with swords of their own. Like, why are we having a sword fight in space again? But whatever. So the Cerritos crew uses all of Mariner's contraband to fight off the Paclids while they were getting the captain to sickbay. So anyway, it turns out, well, how does she get all of her contraband? She gets it from Riker because Riker is flush with contraband. He gets all the Romulan ale and stuff, and that kind of fits in because at the end of Nemesis, the Titan, I believe, was supposed to be stationed at or near Romulus for peace talks. So it would make sense he has access to some Romulan stuff. I'm not so sure why they have all the Klingon stuff, but why would a batleth even be considered contraband? That didn't make sense either, because I mean everybody has batleths in DS9. You know, they have batleths. Everybody has batleth. I've got a batleth. Yeah, so Prey says I have a batleth. I have two batleths. I don't know where the other one is. Mom O'Prey can't find it. We lost the batleth somewhere. Somewhere in this house is a full-size batleth that we cannot find. There's one on the wall in the basement, which is unfortunately the crappier one of the two. The nicer one with the sharpened edges, I can't find.
I've never come across it, and I've been.
Yeah, Sisso Prey has never come across it either. What could have happened to my batleth? Did somebody steal it while I was in the coma? It's not behind the television. I know that much. It's sharp.
Keep a giant sharp.
It would either have been in my bedroom, and it certainly should have been in my bedroom because that was my, God forbid somebody broke into the house and I didn't have time to get the gun. I might be under the mattress, but Sassy goes under there and she doesn't come out cut. Oh no, that's a Sleep Number mattress. You can't put anything under that mattress. I don't think. I certainly wouldn't put a sharp weapon under a Sleep Number mattress. So yeah. Why was a batleth be considered contraband? Doesn't matter. They were fighting with Buddy Batleth. Okay, Riker comes in, Troy comes in. Awesome. Great to see them. So they save the ship. Riker beams over later, and Captain Freeman is feeling better. So Riker comes up behind Freeman and picks her up and whatever. And it turns out that Riker was apparently, I don't know how, Riker was Captain Freeman's mentor. And Riker says, "You were my Tradish," which was another callback to where Mariner called Boimler. Yeah, she's like, "I'm going to be your Tradish." So basically, we're supposed to get the feeling that Riker and Freeman kind of have a similar relationship to Boimler and Mariner. Now, also throughout this episode, there was talk about a promotion available, a spot available on the USS Sacramento, and Boimler was going to try for the promotion, and Mariner was also going to try for the promotion because Mariner realizes if she switches ships, then nobody will know she's who her mother is because, Facebook and social media and email doesn't exist in the 24th century. Mariner thinks if she moves ships, nobody will know who she is again. So she decides she's going to try for the promotion too. So Boimler's like, you're never going to get the promotion. You have no, and she's like, well, you know what? And I'm just going to become a model officer. So at the beginning of the episode, Mariner transforms herself. She rolls down her sleeves for her first time. She puts her hair nice for the first time. And she starts calling everybody sir and doing everything proper by the book. She starts reading the Starfleet etiquette guide and all this stuff. And NB Geeks, let's talk. Thank you so much for a $2 super chat. It says, have you heard the word? Have you heard that bird is the word? Thank you, NB Geeks. We'll get back to super chats, to the chats in a minute. We're not much left in my recap. So Mariner goes and Khan. Okay. Thank you again. So Mariner goes into full model Starfleet mode. Boimler's actually pissed at her for trying to steal the promotion away from him. They actually go see, and this is still early on, they go see Commander Ransom, who has to make the decision. And Ransom is doing, he's shirtless and he's working out with a dumbbell. In his, I don't know if it's his quarters. I assume they're his quarters. It's got exercise equipment all over. And so Ransom's like, well, Boimler, on one hand, your record is spotless. Now, I kind of find that a little weird because Boimler's record really shouldn't be spotless. Boimler has made a fool of himself many a times this season. He's been on the bridge, been unable to give a coherent sentence. Now, I know he's a hardworking officer, and I know he has his best interest at heart of Starfleet at heart. But what we've seen of Boimler is not what we've been told of Boimler. What we've been told of Boimler is that he is a very hardworking, dedicated officer. What we've seen of Boimler is that he's really a bumbling fool. And every time they give him a chance to make a decision, he can't even come up with anything worthwhile. So why his record is spotless, I don't get it. In fact, just last episode, Captain Freeman specifically wrote on what apparently was his record that he didn't even prepare for the interview with her, and she wrote terrible. So why his record is spotless, I don't understand. But so for this episode, his record has gone back to spotless. And so Ransom is like, your record's spotless. He's like, but on the other hand, Mariner is the captain's daughter, and I live to serve the captain. So he's like, I gotta think this out. He's like, I gotta work out I gotta work this out. I gotta do some workouts to figure this out. And Boimler, like, you've been doing nothing but working out since we got here. And he puts down the dumbbell and goes over to free weights. I think they're called free weights. I'm not a big gym person. And he starts lifting these massive weights. And he's like, I told you guys, I've got to lift this to, he's like, okay, dismissed, get out of here. I got to work this out. So he's pushing up this heavy set of weights, while he figures out who to give the promotion to. Anyway, after that happens, all the crap happens with the Paclid, so you kind of forget about it. Of course, till the end of the episode, Riker comes and he says he says hello. He says hello to Freeman. Then he comes over to Mariner and Mariner, Boimler, Rutherford, and Tendi are all sitting at this table. And we'll get to what happened to Rutherford in a second. But Riker comes over, says, and he calls him Boimler, but whatever. He says, Boimler. He gives him a pad. He's like, Boimler, I've heard great things about you from Ransom. He says, Ransom says you're the best of the best. And he gives a pad to Boimler. He calls him Boimler. But then he immediately goes to Mariner and says, Mariner, why don't you buy me a drink? Because now we're even or whatever. Apparently earlier, Riker says that him saving the Cerritos makes him even with Mariner. So he's like, yeah, why don't you buy me a drink? So Boimler is reading this pad, and his eyes, first he's like, he's a little annoyed that Riker doesn't know his name, but then his eyes widen up. He gets a transfer and a promotion to the Titan, which is, of course, the dream ship. We found out the Titan was the dream ship, Boimler's dream ship. That's where he wanted to be. But, okay, so Tendi and Rutherford are also sitting there. The thing with Rutherford is, okay, so Shax pulled this thing out of his brain. So he was in sick bay, and it made it seem like a lot of time went by. I think Rutherford was there. There were so many member berries, although NB Geeks, I wouldn't say they were presented as member berries. And that's something I was going to get to in a couple minutes. In all previous episodes, I'd call them member berries. In this episode, they were references. They weren't presented as member berries because they all had purpose. I would say they were all better than member berries. They were legit references to previous track and previous things in this own series. But so Rutherford had this thing pulled out of his brain. So it appeared like a lot of time had passed, but I'm not sure how much time had actually passed. Anyway, Tendi was, I think she said we're up to chapter 79. So I don't know. So Rutherford was in a coma, and Tendi was there reading technical manuals to him. And finally, Rutherford wakes up, and he's like, he doesn't remember anything except he doesn't remember anything since he got his implant. Now, if you remember the first episode, he got his implant just before the first episode of the show. So basically, the entire first season of memories, his entire time on the Cerritos, has been wiped from his memory. But he's a very optimistic and trusting person. He's a very optimistic and trusting person to begin with. And so Tendi's there, and he's like, oh, are you my friend? And Tendi's like, oh my God, you don't remember anything of what happened. He's like, no. And she's like, oh my God, do you know what this means? Do you know what this means? And she's like, it means we get to become best friends all over again. And she's all excited, and Rutherford is like, oh, okay. And he's happy too. He forgot that he fell in love with her, I guess. And Sisso Prey is coming, giving me a stare.
That little clear disc.
Yes.
It's a nipple. Says, you're not discard.
Right.
Crab. Put that in there so the milk doesn't spill out after you've loaded the bottle and you're traveling.
I know you're not supposed to put that in the bottle. What the hell why would you put a solid piece of plastic over a bottle? Oh, Mama Prey, I'm sorry. So Mama Prey bought this bottle system for Charlie that's low or is supposed to prevent air. And, you know, it comes with these directions that are tiny, like ridiculously tiny to read. Okay. And so Mama Prey gave me the direction to read, and on it was a piece of plastic. Oh, thank you, John Araki, for the $1 super chat. Long story short, there was this piece of blue plastic in the bottle, and Mama Prey was asking me what it said because her eyes aren't the greatest, and it was very hard to read. I needed a flashlight. I could read that it said "do not discard," but I was pretty sure that they understood that this was not supposed to be on the bottle the entire time. Anyway, apparently Mama Prey misunderstood and put it on the bottle. So Nephew O'Prey wasn't able to drink anything because it was literally the travel cover. It was the travel cover that stops anything from coming out when you're traveling. Okay, so going back. So Rutherford and Tendi make up and, well, not make up. Rutherford and Tendi get back. So Rutherford, we only see him from this point on with a bandage around his eye. So we don't know if he's going to be fine without the implant, or if he's going to have to get a new implant. We just don't know. So the episode comes to an end. We see Boimler putting on the Deep Space Nine First Contact gray uniform. And in fact, we see all of the Titan wears that uniform. We saw it when Riker came on. He was wearing the DS9 uniform, not the Cerritos uniform, which was the same uniform Mariner was wearing when they flashed back to Deep Space Nine earlier in the season. So apparently the gray uniform that was in use for First Contact and Deep Space Nine is still in use in 2280, when I believe this takes place, which makes a hell of a lot of sense. What doesn't make a lot of sense is why different ships seem to have different uniforms. And all the California class and many of the admirals, in fact, all the admirals we've seen, have uniforms closer to the lower decks uniforms than to the DS9 uniforms. But whatever, I was glad to see the DS9 uniform back. And we see Boimler change into that uniform, and he has a second pip now because he got a promotion. And it turns out now Boimler is on the Titan, and instead of being the awkward, shy lower decks guy, he's brimming with confidence. The people on the Titan are actually treating him well, and he's getting tons of messages from Mariner. Mariner is pissed at him, and she keeps sending him angry messages that how dare he take her promotion, or why would she leave, blah 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 blah, and why would he leave her, and all this stuff about friends, because he did say, he's like, Mariner, I think you are my mentor, I would miss you, blah blah blah. And now Mariner's super pissed. So the guys on the Titan are like, well, who's leaving you all these messages? He's like, oh, just an old friend, she'll get over it. And so the Titan is going to the planet that they went to, where they have the little Risa and little Andorian district, little Kronos. And so, thank you, Ensign Ricky, with a $2 super chat. It's his best episode ever. 2,934,738 something out of 10. I don't know if I'd be that optimistic, but I will. My number is less than 10, but it's the closest to 10 that we've gotten so far. Hello again, Nephew O'Prey. Nephew O'Prey likes to listen to me talk, apparently, and he's looking at the screen. So it was a complete 180. Now Boimler is the cool person. He knows all the things, and I was so happy for Boimler. Mariner, meanwhile, is stuck, still in lower decks, screaming in the middle of the night to over subspace to Boimler, and some girl yells at Mariner, we're trying to sleep, and she says, "Shut up, Jen," which is funny because earlier in the episode, Billups, the chief engineer, came over to Mariner trying to get butter up to Mariner once he found out that she was the captain's daughter. And that was one of the things that Mariner told Boimler. She's like, last week, that guy didn't even know my name. He called me Jen. It's like, do we even have a Jen? She didn't even know there was a Jen on the ship. And then there was a Jen on the ship. Jen was the one yelling at her to shut up, which was funny. That brought some closure to that. So that's it. That's the episode ends. It's very weird because we have the death of Lieutenant Shax. Well, I wouldn't say he was my favorite character, but he was close to it. He probably was maybe my second after Dr. Tana. So Lieutenant Shax, main character, dead. first season. Now, granted, the security chief died in the first season of TNG. So end of TNG, Tasha Yar. So fine, that's not unprecedented. But she left because of contract issues, dispute. She wanted to do a different with her career. And of course, she ended up making a terrible, terrible mistake. But to our benefit, it made TNG far better after she left. So maybe it was their plan to kill off the security officer at the end of the first season the entire time. But it's a shame because he was definitely becoming one of my favorites. And especially when he said, "Goodbye, little bear," I almost lost it. So we have the death of Lieutenant Shaxs. We have the secret out that Mariner is the captain's daughter. Oh, they do have some resolution to that. So one more scene. Mariner and her mom are talking at the end, and the mom's like, Mariner's like, "Why did we even keep this a secret to begin with?" And Mariner's like, I didn't want people, knowing who I was and treating me different. And Freeman's like, I didn't want the whole crew knowing my daughter was the most demerited officer in Starfleet. And so going back to her original crisis of conscience she had at the beginning of the episode, Captain Freeman says, "You know what? We might be able to make this work." She's like, as captain, I can't make the decisions I want to make all the time because doing the right thing is against Starfleet protocol. She would lose her command if she did the thing she wanted to do. But Mariner could get away with doing those things because she's not captain. So she's like, what if we work together? And Mariner's like, wow. So she's like, and Captain Freeman's like, yeah, wouldn't it be good to have a captain on your side for the change instead of up your ass? And Mariner's like, wow, I think we're both going to end up in the brig. But they shake hands, and that's how they resolve to go forward. So supposedly now in the Cerritos, you've got a mother-daughter team who are going to go around fixing all the wrongs in the galaxy, I guess. So it completely changes the dynamics of the show. You got Rutherford missing half his brain for all practical purposes. Not sure if he's going to be better or get better or not, ever. You've got Tendi and him rebuilding a relationship, possibly. A friendship, at the least. You got the dead lieutenant. You got the dead Shaxs. And then you've got Boimler on the Titan, which is captained by Riker and counselor Deanna Troi. So are they going to, when season 2 happens, because McMahon has already confirmed that they have all of season 2 written, and it's already been confirmed they've already been working on season 2. What is season 2 going to look like? I have no idea. I'm afraid that they hit a reset button. And if they hit a reset button, God help me, I will be as happy as I was to see this episode, which, by the way, I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. It was by far the best episode we have gotten to date, but it has its problems. Okay, it has its problems. Many of which I pointed out along the way. Inconsistent character, inconsistent history, but it was very good. It was a very good episode. I'm willing to overlook a lot of it. 8.5 out of 10. Best episode yet. But what is season 2 going to be? It scares me. It scares me quite a bit. If they reset it, I will be pissed beyond all recognition. But if they don't reset it, how do they keep the show going? Do they write off Boimler? Are Riker and Troi going to become reoccurring characters? I mean, I would love if they did, but it's not the same show. If Riker and Troi are going to be in every show, or even every other show, it's not the same show. It is fundamentally not Lower Decks anymore. Boimler is not Lower Decks anymore. Boimler has his own quarters. He's on a new ship. It's fundamentally not the show. Mariner and Freeman working together, it's fundamentally not going to be the same show. They were their foils. Now they're going to be allies. Are they going to bring in a new person? I mean, maybe they're writing Boimler off. Maybe Jack Quaid isn't coming back, which I wouldn't mind. You know, if we never see Boimler again, I wouldn't mind. But I don't see the Cerritos being a ship they can show again. My personal opinion, preference would be, and I guess that I don't think they would do this. And if they did, nitpickers are saying Boimler will return to the Cerritos, he bets. If he does, I'm going to be very upset, because if he loses his promotion, I'm pissed. Okay, if he returns to the Cerritos by choice, he's going to be a lieutenant. He's not going to be an ensign. So you can't call the show Lower Decks, and it would not work. Okay, if Boimler outranked Mariner officially, it wouldn't work as a show. So I just don't see how it works. Now, my personal preference would be, and I don't think this is happening, but we say goodbye to the Cerritos completely. You know, maybe they come in once in a while, but we see another California class ship, and we get to know a whole different crew. And every season we change main ships. Okay, that would be how I would do it. I would say season 1 was the Cerritos. Season 2 is some other ship. You know, season 3 is the San Jose. And season 4, assuming they get that far, is the La Jolla. And that's how it works. Every season is a different ship. And over the seasons, the other ships can come in contact with each other, and we can get cameos to see how how Mariner and Boimler and the rest of them, Freeman, how they're doing. One day we could see Ransom with his own captain of his own ship. And that would be how I would build the series. Now, believe me, this is too late, because they've already written all of season 2. So Mike McMahon, I hope you have some good idea of how you're doing it. I will defer to you, as you did make an excellent episode 10. But please, please, please don't ruin season 2 now, because just like I said, Game of Thrones season finale ruined the entire series. Season 2, season premiere could ruin the series. Okay, as much as episode 10 made all the previous episodes better, season 2, episode 1 could make all the previous episodes worse. So I beg you, Mike McMahon, please do not hit that reset button. As tempting as it is, that big, shiny button, it's calling to you. It says reset, reset, reset. Do not hit it. Do not hit it, Mike. Please, I beg of you. Just find some way and give us a new crew. You can be true to the name Lower Decks with all new characters, all new ship. I'd be happy with it. I'd be down with that. Okay. I need to take my pill. I'm going to show a quick commercial. Then I'm going to come back and read our comments. And a thank you, everybody, for being here. And get to comments in just a quick minute.
I've been on my feet 6 hours. You know how I feel? I feel like dancing. Sheer energy. It makes me feel like dancing. Sheer energy. It makes my legs feel that good. Sheer Energy pantyhose look terrific. And they stimulate, refresh, and massage my legs. So I really feel like dancing.
Try Sheer Energy, because nothing beats a great pair of legs.
Sears gives your casual wardrobe a fresh spring look with this week's Wardrobe Essentials sale. First denim jeans now just $9.
Sears denim jeans.
They feel as good as they fit. And you save $4.
I could go with
And
jeans that
Nike
feel
Green
as good as they
shirts for
fit.
just $5.99. Easy care, and you save $3. Shirts in assorted solids and
$3.
These wardrobe essentials are on sale through Saturday. The super savings
At the
on
time this
Sears.
commercial was made,
Sears.
a hamburger at McDonald's was probably 99 cents. That's the wrong screen. There we are. Welcome back. Okay. Back to the chat. Welcome, AK Whetstone. Again, I called you Whitestone. Apologies earlier. Landrew. That's where I was. Yes. Dave G Sound says bad charts. Starfleet has terrible charts. This is true. AK Whetstone says there are too many California classes in LDS. I understand that. I would hope we see more variety in ships in future seasons. But yeah, the California class is supposed to be a workhorse of this Federation. We've never seen it before. But the other thing was we were told that the Cerritos is an old ship. But if the Cerritos is so old of a ship, why did the Salvador or whatever it was in this episode, why was it a brand new off the line ship? That doesn't make that's another thing that doesn't make a lot of sense. If the Cerritos design is so old, they shouldn't be making new California classes. Not Ryan Johnson says hello in Qapla, not Ryan Johnson. Star Trek Nitpickers is in the house. All hail the Birdman, Qapla, Star Trek Nitpickers. And guys, Star Trek Nitpickers did his review yesterday. It is much, much shorter than mine. And as my preference, my opinion, much better. So definitely check out Star Trek Nitpickers. If you're not subscribed to Star Trek Nitpickers, please do. He does great reviews. He's also been reviewing the Orville comics, Orville stuff. So check him out. Couldn't give a bigger a bigger endorsement than to Star Trek Nitpickers. And not just because he's in Queens and could kick my ass conceivably, possibly. Well, I'm sure he wouldn't, but he is the closest that I know of to me. That has nothing to do with it. JP says peanut hamper is almost as bad as hand banana. I'm not sure what hand banana is. I think, was that a reference to a Rick and Morty thing? Because I have no idea. I never watched Rick and Morty. JP's is lolling. Saul Leibowitz is Qapla, Saul. JP says, no problem. JP, thank you again for becoming a friend of Karoga. Awesome. And Joseph Patrick, another friend of Karoga, says it was a callback to the All Good Things saving also under Riker's command. It was a callback to the All Good Things saving also under Riker's command. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Joseph. Good morning, Jeff Franklin, Qapla. Yitzis is very young and more so slim. Yes, they were very nice with their depictions of their body shapes. JP says Troy is always smexy. You know, I get it. I think also just, the years that I watched for my, young teenage years, I was discovering my body. So Troy is always going to have a place, but listen, she is not. She is aged. Okay, Esri Nicole DeBoer has aged amazingly well. Troy. Now, granted, she's older. She's older than Nicole DeBoer. But there's a difference in there's a difference. Let's just say they age differently. AK Whetstone says they definitely looked younger. Well, they're supposed to, because this took place before Picard. Yitz says it didn't look like Picard, Riker, and Troy at all. Well, Yitz, this took place 20 years before Picard, so they shouldn't look as old. They should look like they did in Nemesis. This basically takes place just a year to months after Star Trek Nemesis. So they should look exactly like they did in Star Trek Nemesis. Yitz says it's a +5 batleth. Yes. It had a lot of blood on it. JP says, lol, how the hell do you lose the batleth? Joseph Patrick says Riker saving the Cerritos is a callback to the TNG finale. Oh, when he comes in to save. Yeah, you know what? It did look like that. Yes, with the Enterprise D, with the Enterprise D X, the Galaxy X class. That did. Yes, I did get that feeling. Thank you, Yosef. Sorry for me missing that. I don't know how I lose a batleth, JPs. All I know is I have. Says Sassy uses it. Sassy, I never took my batleth to the office. Sassy uses it to hunt squirrels, says JPs. Joseph says coma is not an excuse for you losing a batleth. Could I have sold it? I can't imagine I sold it. Not my sharpened one. JPs is lolling at Joseph. And thank you again, NB Geeks. Could be. I don't think so. Don't bring it up. But if it's there, let me know. Sisopre is checking to see if it's on the same hook as the other one. Maybe behind it. JP says Mariner has a hell of a nice strut. Oh, yes. Yes, Mariner, not only did she go into full Star Trek, Starfleet model citizen mode, she also developed an incredible Starfleet strut. Why would that help her get promoted? I don't know. But she had the strut. NB Geeks says, hey to Yosef. And Yosef says, live long and prosper. To NB Geeks. Moira, meow Moira, says, you're up this early. Moira had to do it. Nephew O'Prey is over and will probably be busy most of the day. So I needed to get out my review. And I didn't get it out to it yesterday because of terrible kidney stones. So here we are. Meow, Moira. Pflugerville says meow. Qapla, Pflugerville. JP's meowing. Everybody's meowing. Kits says his screech. I'm sorry, did I screech? JP's puts in, what is that, a cat emoji? Ambi Geeks is Bird of Prey. How many damn member berries were there? There's so many, but not member berries, references. I think of member berries as cheap. To me, member berry implies cheap. That it's just a cheap thing to make you remember, to make you feel good. You know, you remember Nintendo? Yeah, no. These were references. I thought they were done well. As AK Whetstone says, yes, it was done well. And Whetstone says, I hope he doesn't make it Badgie again. I hope he doesn't make Badgie again. Well, at this point, he probably will forget he ever made Badgie. So he could remake it. Although all of his files should still be accessible to him. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, this is why we can't continue with this crew. As much as I love the ending, it compromises the show. It compromises the fundamentals. So I hope we have a new crew next season. But I feel like we would know that by now. Because they would have had to get other voice actors. And, you know, maybe these people are under contract. They're not allowed to tell people that they're not part of the show anymore. But I highly doubt that's how it would work. Nitpicking Nerd says Riker was too thin. He looked early TNG Riker, not post on. Yeah, and so did Troy. Troy and Riker were way too thin. Even in Enterprise season finale, which they referenced, which Riker referenced. And when Riker was on the bridge at the end of the episode, He said, I was sorry I was late. I was on the holodeck on the original Enterprise. He's like, Archer and those guys. He said they had a long road getting from there to here, which was hilarious. Yeah, he should have looked like, in fact, they both should have looked closer to they did in the Enterprise season finale, which was not great, or Nemesis, than they did to early TNG. But you know what? That's the beauty of a cartoon. You can draw people however you want. JP's is Lowell. Talk about teasing kid. NB Geeks is Bird of Prey. Funny how you say Charlie. Because for reasons I do not know, I have a massive Charlie horse in my left leg. Oh my God. NB Geeks, I used to get Charlie horses a lot. They actually granted they were temporary, shorter lasting, but some of the Charlie horses I got equal to or possibly eclipsed the pain of a kidney stone. But the Charlie horse would stop after a couple minutes, where the kidney stone would go on for hours or days. I feel you, man. They always told me to eat a banana. Potassium. I don't think that did any good. Let me tell you, I don't think it did any good. One of the benefits of having my leg muscles atrophied, no more Charlie horse. Not the way you want to do it, but it is technically a benefit. JP's says, there's a multitude of uniforms. You get to choose what you want to wear. No, well, then the captain should have to choose it. At least in Star Trek, you shouldn't get the choice. I mean, you might have your day-to-day uniform, your dress uniform, your away uniform, but there shouldn't be. Not everybody on the Cerritos chooses to wear the same uniform, obviously. Joseph says there might be standards for uniforms that the captain can say. It could, but then every California class has the same uniform. That seems unusual. Ensign Ricky with his super chat. Thank you again, Ensign Ricky. Best episode ever. The Mr. Pete channel needs 800 subs. Qapla, Mr. Pete. It's been a long time. Early DS9 Voyager uniforms were worn alongside of TNG uniforms. Yes, this is true. You bring up an excellent point, Mr. Pete. The differences were subtle. One was all black with just colors on the top, whereas the other had the color in the middle and was black on top and bottom. But yeah, they did overlap. This is true. Nitpicker says, I have the Star Trek Bridge ambience video on the background now. I really feel like I'm in space. Very cool. Mr. Peachow needs 800 subbies. Says Mariner will now ruin Boimler's career. I hope not. I don't think Mariner is that vindictive. I say she's not that vindictive coming off an episode where she literally called herself Vindicator. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she is that vindictive. Nitpicker Nerd says Mariner will call her Ferengi friend to frame a very public specialist incidents with Boimler, getting him demoted and transferred off the Titan. I so hope not. Mr. Pete needs 800 subs. He says Jen, the Andorian, yelled at. Oh, is that who it was? Jen is the Andorian. I didn't pick up on that. Thank you, Mr. Pete. NB Geek says to Nitpicking Nerd, why that would not surprise me. Why would that not surprise him? Nitpicking Nerd says Bajoran Worf will be brought back by the Cisco, who is one with the prophets. You know what, Nitpicking Nerd? That I wouldn't mind. If we could get Cisco in this to get him back, I wouldn't mind it.
Square.
Uh-huh.
The one on the wall.
Uh-huh.
Smaller
Mm-hmm.
and sharper than the one I remember being on.
Really? Maybe I got rid of the crappy one and I kept the sharp one?
Well,
Does it have beveled edges?
It's a bevel.
A bevel is like it comes to a point.
I touched it. I mean, it didn't cut me, but it seemed sharp.
Oh, maybe that's the good batleth. Here, I'll give you this camera. You can take a picture of it.
It may not be. I just feel like you had a heavier one.
Con!
Clunky.
Yeah, I had a clunky, heavy one.
I didn't able to pick it up.
Right.
This one.
Oh.
I'll take the picture.
We might have the good batleth. The good batleth might be here. Maybe I got rid of the crappy batleth. I kind of remember getting rid of the crappy batleth, but I always thought that was the one that was downstairs. Maybe I moved them.
No.
Oh. So Sisopre said in the time that since I've been out of the hospital, that it might have changed, which doesn't make much sense. Unless perhaps the Cisco did it. Yeah, if the Cisco brought back Shax, I'd be okay with that. Though, to be honest, I don't want to see Shax back because I don't want to continue with the Cerritos. Mr. Pete says voice actor Shax can do other accents, so he'll stay on the show. Oh, awesome. Everybody's a voice actor, so they could use the same cast and just do different characters. I didn't even think of that. You don't need to do the same voice actor can do different characters. Nitpicker says Shax's dying reminds me of the Orville transferring the chief engineer away so Lamar could move up. Well, that reminded everybody of Tasha Yar dying, and that allowed them to change up the entire crew of TNG. So I'd say it's closer to that, and since it's within the Trek universe, we'll go to that. Nitpicking Nerd says it will turn out he had a twin brother who is also a tactical officer. I don't know, or a transporter clone, or he will have a beard now. Yes, he could be from the mirror universe. Mr. Pete Channel says Shax is at the gates of Valhalla, shiny in chrome. Witness him. Valhalla. Nitpicking Nerd says he earned his way to Stovacor. Yeah, but he wants to be with the prophets. He's mentioned the prophets many a times. Or he says, tell the Pa Wraith Shax sent you when you get to hell. Ook, I need to sleep now. Good night, all. Good night, JPs. Thank you again for joining the channel. Nitpicking Nerd says the Exocomp has a mobile transporter, so maybe she beamed Shax away at the moment and stored him in a small transporter buffer. Oh, right. So the very end of the show, the last possible scene, after the Titan warps away, we see the Exocomp floating through space, just saying, help, help, because apparently, even though it can float through space, it can't travel at, interstellar speeds. JP says the Titan won't last, Troy. Well, the Titan won't last. Troy will crash in season 2. Possibly. Mr. Pete needs 800 subbies, says Nitpicking Nerds first. So Jeff Franklin says best episode by far for me, but still only a 5 out of 10. Wow, Jeff. Jeff Franklin holds no punches, people. But you know what, Jeff? I respect your opinion. I do. I get it.
The inner edge
is
dull.
Let's see.
The outer points are definitely much sharper.
Oh, sharp.
Than the inner point.
This is it. This is the good batleth.
Okay, good.
Oh, I could have told you it had black handles instead of brown.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. The crap one had brown handles.
Super heavy.
Yeah, it was carbon steel. This is aluminum.
Okay, good.
It makes for better killing.
Whatever. I don't know.
Yay, we found my batleth.
But
we found my batleth.
That one is definitely.
The case of the missing batleth has been solved. Now the other batleth is missing.
Yes?
No.
So at some point we moved?
No, the brown one must never have existed here.
The brown one was definitely hanging on the wall. That's the whole reason I went down there to look into it.
I think you may have come from a different universe, sister. Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect? Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect?
working in the airport.
She's giving me 2 middle fingers.
I went in there and I was like, this thing is so fucking heavy. And I put it back.
And now you carry a baby around all day, so maybe you've gotten more muscle, so it's not as heavy.
I didn't try to take that thing off the wall. I was like, this is much smaller than the thing that I used to look at. Now.
Were you about to say something, Mama Pray?
She has about the shelves in that room.
Yeah.
But one foot is to be out of the wall.
There's a bat left.
I've never really. It could be between the shelves.
I wouldn't have put a bat left between a shelf and a wall.
Down there?
I wouldn't put it. Anyway, so I have a good bat left in my basement. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Okay, I'm going to be a little quieter. Yeah, so Jeff Franklin, I totally respect.
Forget the floods.
I know there were floods. That's why I don't put stuff on the floor. Yes, there were mushrooms.
Okay.
It was a mushroom drive. We should have picked those mushrooms. We could have gone to space.
Living there with the mushrooms.
Star Trek Nitpicker says, I wasn't collecting rent. I'm not a landlord. Nitpicker says, I hear Riker will be in season 2. How much? I don't know. Okay, well, maybe they are going to make him recurring. Nitpicking Nerds says, Riker and Troy should have a small dog named Worf. Oh my god. Oh my god, that would be awful. That would be awful. Nitpicker says Boimler will return to the cameo to the Cerritos, I bet. I hope not. I hope not. Nitpicking Nerd says Brent Spiner should appear as B4 before he was deactivated and put into a draw. Yeah, he could. He could. Although the way they made it seem before kind of just short-circuited after Nemesis and never really existed. Mr. Pete says, I agree. I hate Mariner forever if she gets him demoted. Yeah, me too. Nitpicking Nerd says we need to see Ensign Rios and see how he discovered the joys of smoking's ancient cigars. You know what? That's actually not a terrible. Oh my God, it is terrible. But we could see Raffi and Rios in Starfleet. We could get a Raffi and Rios cameo. Saul Leibowitz says, I'm guessing that in season 2, episode 1, Boimler will be out in the inn for having changed. Boimler will be out in for having changed to Starfleet records, erasing negative interview, etc., demoted and returned to lower decks. Maybe him breaking into the personal logs of everybody on the crew to make his hologram finally catches up with him. It's possible. Nitpickers is laughing at JP's crash comment. Nitpicking Nerds is Boimler will be demoted after he says something racist to a Ferengi ensign on the Titan. Nitpicker says, I'd be fine with all the new characters. Yeah, I think that would be best. Pflugerville says they could end program and walk off the holosuite. Lol, yeah, they could. They could. That's the type of reset I really am afraid of. But you know what? Let's take the cast, let's switch up the people, and let's do a whole new cast of a whole new ship with the same actors. But instead of being, instead of being Boimler, Quaid plays someone else. Instead of playing Mariner, What's-Her-Face plays somebody else. And you could bring some of the bridge crew on as ensigns and move some of the ensigns to bridge crew. You could completely get a whole new cast using the same voice actors. Mr. Pete says old commercials. Yes, I got to put up some old commercials when I have to take a pill or Jaloja. Sorry about that. I hope you enjoyed. Nitpicker says I need a Coke and nice legs now. Yep. I tell you, it makes me want to go to Sears and buy jeans. Nitpicky Nerds says, why is Riker obsessed with going to the holodeck to watch Archer's ship? Is it because T'Pol is there? You know what? It might be. maybe Troy hasn't figured it out that Riker only goes to the holodeck to see T'Pol. Maybe they've got an open marriage, open to holograms. Mr. Pete says, and Hoshi. Oh yeah, and Hoshi. Oh, that's true. That's true. We don't let's. That's one of the rules. Troy is not allowed to scan his brain. Not allowed to sense him when he's on the holodeck. In fact, I bet he found an engineer who could make a Betazoid proof force field, and he has it around the holodeck every time he's in there. And he probably also kept Minuet too. Mr. Pete says, fact, Mirror Hoshi is hotter than Prime T'Pol. I agree. A.K. Whetstone, right? Yes, definitely is. Nitpicking Nerd says the Cerritos is the only ship that survived Wolf 359. Wolf 359 was an inside job, Nitpicking Nerd. We found that out in this episode. The Dominion's changelings don't exist, and the Dominion War never happened. Those are also lines from this episode. Nitpicking Nerd says 39 of 40 ships were lost. Robert Rhodes Jr. says money went a lot further back then. It sure did. Mr. Pete says, yeah, with the Sears commercials. Mr. Pete needs 800 subbies, says Navy builds ships of the same class 20 years apart, like the Eliher Burke class. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I'm guessing they were still making Intrepid class ships into TNG, but I don't know. It just seems to me what we saw by the time we got to TNG and DS9, the ships weren't, the same ship class wasn't being built for 20 years or 30 years. I don't know. Nitpicker says, thanks a lot, man. No problem, Nitpickers. It's all true. Nitpicking Nerd says Riker keeps showing up to save the day in every single show. Yeah, he's the hero. He's a hero. And as Joseph Super Chat, thank you again, Joseph. Yes, he had to lead me to water. Riker saving the Cerritos is a callback to the TNG finale. I get it. It was. NB Geeks, Let's Talk says Bird of Prey. Yeah, it takes place just 1 year after the last movie. Yeah. So this is 2380. This is right after Nemesis. So we have to remember that when we're looking at what people should know, what the technology should be. It's important to know where in the timeline we are. Nitpickers says to Nitpickers. Wow, right. And Nitpickers says to Nitpicking Nerd. Hey, how many nitpickers do we have here? Nitpickers says the Nitpicking Nerd. Yeah, T'Pol, and he always rescues everyone from now on. Haha. And Star Trek Nitpicker says Riker to the rescue and all good things, Picard ending, and now Lower Decks. This is true. And although he certainly did not save the day in Enterprise. In fact, he kind of ruined that day. Mr. Pete needs 800 subs. He says Mariner looks better with sleeves down. She did. And there's the link to Star Trek Nitpicker's short review. Definitely check it out. If you don't have 2 hours for a review and you only have 10 minutes, Star Trek Nitpickers is the way to go. In fact, I go there anyway. It's the way to do. Joseph Patrick says, I doubt we'll get much Riker and Troy. Frakes and Sirtis are expensive. And Yitzi says, Sirtis expensive? Haha. Yeah, Sirtis is not the most expensive person. Frakes is. Sirtis, it probably just will come and she will act for food. Although I guess they don't go, there's no food anymore. There's no food anymore because there's no more sets. Everybody's doing their voice acting from home. So I don't know. I guess she's just acting for gift cards, DoorDash and Uber Eats gift cards. Joseph says, give me a warp 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, that was the second joke. I almost forgot to breathe. First being the hard on. Okay, yeah. So Riker, when he gives his command to go to warp, he says, "Give me warp 5, 6, 7," and Troy's like, "Oh, the jazz, all the jazz," because I guess Riker's thing is jazz, so of course he makes a jazz joke. I don't know, does he do it every time he goes to warp? I hope not. That would get old real quick. Star Trek Nitpicker says, Bird of Prey, Riker's long road joke was the only really funny part for me. Cause you and I were just saying we didn't like that song. Yeah, it was probably the best part of the episode for me. Now, early on, when Ransom walks in. Ransom goes to the captain while the captain is talking to Mariner after the secret had come out that Mariner is the daughter. And they had an exchange, and Ransom is being kind to Mariner. He's like, if I ever showed anything but utmost respect for you, I apologize. And Mariner's like, don't do that. Freeman says, don't do that. Be hard on her like you always have. And Mariner's like, yeah, be hard on me. And then Ransom in defense, he's like, I'm hard on you. He says something about getting a hard on, and the joke, that's the joke. You can imagine where it goes from there. At the end, he realizes he can't say what he wants to say without it sounding perverted. And he just says, you're both great. And he leaves in embarrassment. Joseph Petrick says, muscle spasms are not fun. I got one in my calf, and after it went away, it hurt for another 4 days. Oh, geez. Magnesium and vitamin B6 help, however. Very cool. I was always told potassium, but potassium, magnesium, they're all easiums. They all help. Where is Garfield? I want a refund. Oh my God, Joseph, we forgot Garfield. Okay, you know what, Joseph? Since I can't refund your money, we're going to add Garfield live on air. We're going to add Garfield. Okay. Add source. Multimedia file. Okay. XSplit. Good. I'm in it. Garfield. Let's see. Which Garfield are we going to get? We have 2 Garfields. Why is it not showing up? Oh, wrong XSplit folder. Wrong XSplit folder. This is the problem when you have 2 folders with the same name. Okay. Garfield. Is this with the tail or without the tail? Whichever one it is, it is. It's with the tail. Okay. So, well, let's shrink it. We'll move it here, and we're going to have to rotate this. How do I rotate? Maybe I can't rotate. No, we'll flip it. There we go. We'll flip it. There we go. There you go, Joseph. There's Garfield. Thank you again for the $2 super chat, Joseph. And we have Garfield is now a permanent part of. I have to move Garfield down. So if we get a super chat, okay, there we go. Good. Garfield is now a permanent part. Of course, this is the last Lower Decks episode for probably at least a year. So I don't know when I'll be using this scene again, but now we have Garfield. Better late than never. Joseph Patrick says, he is even ignoring money. I'm so sorry, Joseph. I didn't realize I got a super chat. Apologies. Mr. Pete needs 800 subs, says Peanut Hamper will return as V'ger 2.0 and be known as Hyper. It could happen. Let me double check. Okay, yes, that was the last super chat, so I'm not ignoring anyone else's super chats. Mr. Pete needs 800 subbies. Says Peanut Hamper will return. I just read it. Joe, you just read the same thing. Jeff Franklin says, Joseph Petrick, you didn't know this already. Come on, I don't ignore money generally. Nitpicker says Mandela Nebula effect strikes again. LDG, welcome LDG, says good morning all, puts in his eyes and says I see you. I hope not, LDG, because Nitpicker says dog named Worf. That was Marina Sirtis's idea for a show about her and Riker, right? I think so. Pixelate says hail Karoga. Hail Karoga, Pixelate, a friend of the channel. In fact, not a friend of the channel. First citizen of Karoga. Thank you, Pixelate. Karoga, first citizen, and the first citizen of Karoga. Nitpicker says Joseph Garfield now. Definitely. You guys got it. And Pixelate puts in some emojis. I can't tell what they are, but I can tell you guys, if you have not yet checked, if you are members of the channel, there are 2 new emojis, relatively new. They came this week. We have a no anti-tracker emoji, and we have a sassy emoji. So if you're a friend of the channel or you're a Karoga citizen, let's put some sassies in. I'd like to see some sassies in the chat, please. Elihu Who says, Qapla, you started too early for me. The sun hasn't rose yet. It's okay, Elihu. You can always watch it later. You can rewind. Star Trek Nitpicker says, wait, was all of ST Ent a simulation or just the last episode? Just the last episode, not the entire of Star Trek Enterprise. Elihu says, I read it, hasn't. I understood. Elihu says, in Enterprise, he went on the holodeck on Enterprise, not on the Titan. Yes, no, but it would make sense that if he liked going to the Enterprise holodeck, that he kept the program and brought it to the Titan. You know, whenever he wants to relax, he goes to Archer's Enterprise. He could be the cook, he could be the chef, he could be whatever he wants. The cook and the chef are the same people, now that I say that out loud. But, you know, sometimes he's probably the person who's putting the decontaminating gel onto Paul. We just didn't get to see that. Joseph says 20 watching and only 2 dislikes. Garfield. Okay, you got Garfield. My apologies. Nitpicker says Rikers writes Minuet into the Enterprise program with T'Pol. That's it. In fact, that's why he killed Tucker, so that Minuet could become the new chief engineer. Pixelate says Joseph Petrick, it's from no one that matters. I don't get that. Nitpicker says go easy on Marina. She lost her husband a year ago. Yeah, but her opinions have not changed. They were the same opinion she had before. Jeff Franklin says, Bird of Prey, I need to leave for work. Okay, take care, Jeff Franklin. Thank you for coming. I know you probably already left, but thank you so much for showing up. And you are more than welcome. Thank you guys for staying. I know I feel terrible. Loki's on, but I'll be ending soon. I wasn't planning on being on this long, but it just happened. Jeff Franklin says Qapla and need Garfield for Joseph Petrick. Pay attention. I'm sorry, Joseph, Jeff and Joseph. I got to it. Mr. Pete needs 800 subbies. Hard joke. Ha ha ha. Did you see where he placed his pad? I think he put it over his crotchal region. Uncle Remus says, what did you think of the Discovery preview? Oh, that might be its own video. Terrible, Uncle Remus. Of all the places, and I put this in a comment. Of all of the entire. Okay, for those who don't know, they released the first 2 minutes of next week's Star Trek Discovery Season 1. It's a 2-minute and 9-second video. And what we see is the return of Michael Burnham. And if you don't want to be a 2-minute spoiler, then close your ears for a minute. But in the entirety of all of time, in all of space, Michael Burnham happens to arrive in the future at precisely the right point to have a non-fatal crash with a spaceship that is moving, I don't know, an impulse or something. Okay? She just happens to appear to a place that happens to be close enough to a planet, even though the planet isn't in the picture at the time, that they both end up crashing into a planet. The chances that Michael Burnham would just happen to appear in space-time at this one particular place where she happens to appear in front of a spaceship who doesn't have time to get out of the way is like 1 in a gabillion, trillion, zillion, bazillion, gamillion. It is inconceivably small. Okay, I said the chance that Marty McFly would happen to appear in front of a bunch of Indians on horseback in Back to the Future 3, that chance was like 1 in a billion, 1 in a million at least. Okay, and this is like 1 in a million. It is impossible. Okay, it is a leap that is totally and completely ridiculous. And then everything that happens after that, it just builds on the ridiculousness. Unbelievable. And I'm quite sure after seeing these first 2 minutes that season 3 may well be the worst season we've ever gotten of Discovery. I know. 2 minutes in, how am I judging it? I'm just saying it's not. It was a terrible 2 minutes. It would be hard pressed for me to think of a worse 2 minutes that didn't involve her actively going back and killing Kirk. Elihu says October 15th, STD season 3, looking forward to it. Not looking forward, Elihu. I wouldn't say looking forward. Mr. Pete says Mr. Pete needs 800 subbies. Says Uncle Remus, I'm sick and tired of the Mikey Burnham show. Me too. Pixlate puts in Commander Chang. General Chang. Thank you. Nitpicker says Jeff Franklin, have a good one. Pixelate puts in all the emojis. Well, most of the emojis. There we go. There's Sassy. There's the no anti-trekker. There's the Karoga flag, the bird symbol, and the 5 emoji. He says awesome. And there I see the Sassies are coming in. The Sassies, Elihu puts in lips. Nitpicker says Uncle Remus Discovery preview was kind of almost okay. Well, I would agree to disagree, Nitpickers. But it's only 2 minutes of a whole episode. Pixelate says smiles at Elihu. And then Joseph Petrick gives us all the Sassies. Thank you. Lots of a sassy. Yitza says cooks are not chefs. Well, but on the Enterprise, they were the same. Nitpicker says prediction for Disco season 3, a lot of convoluted, hard to follow time travel nonsense. That's a good prediction. Yitza says go easy on every person on Earth. They've all lost someone sometime or another. This is true. I thought you were going to bed. Oh, that was JP's. My bad. Ungarima says, Bird of Prey, what do you think of Kate Mulgrew doing voice work for Star Trek Prodigy? Proctology. So the big news yesterday was Kate Mulgrew, Captain Janeway, or Admiral Janeway, will be back for Star Trek Prodigy, which is the kids show, the legit kids cartoon that's going to be on Netflix. The only thing that bugs me is that, okay, so we know that the Prodigy is supposed to be a gang of misfit kids get a hold of an abandoned Federation ship and use it to go on adventures. So if there's an admiral from the Federation, from Starfleet in the show, the only way I can imagine her, there's 2 ways. My personal was, I only imagined her as being like their foil, like she's in charge of getting the ship back. And every week they're going to outsmart her, and she's going to miss them by just a few minutes. And every week she'll be, damn those kids, I'll get them next time. Like some Scooby-Doo villain or something. And like that is, even for Janeway, who is not my favorite captain, nor my favorite Trek personality by far, but I felt even Janeway, that would be embarrassing. I wouldn't want to see Janeway be reduced to that. Now, one of my Twitter friends, Lizzie, who I did tweet about, and I responded to her tweet, she brought up the possibility that, well, what if they brought Janeway back as a hologram on the ship? And I said, oh, maybe Janeway could be the emergency command hologram. So maybe Janeway isn't playing a real Janeway, but a hologram of Janeway. And she gives advice to the kids on how to use the ship. That wouldn't be terrible. I mean, this is just, we're pulling stuff out of thin air here, but that wouldn't be a terrible use for her as an emergency command hologram of this ship. But with Prodigy, we don't know when it takes place. We don't know a lot of things. We know almost nothing about Prodigy. At least I know almost nothing about Prodigy. Let's put it that way. Robert Rose is Jedi mind trick. There is no STD. That's what I like. Nitpicker says Uncle Remus Mulgrew to return as Janeway. I hear, yeah. And Joseph Patrick puts in all the emojis. Thank you, Joseph. Nitpicker says Bird of Prey. I didn't even catch the Crash and Disco preview. Just that I didn't have the Klingon. Just that I didn't have fake Klingons look good. Well, I didn't see any Klingons. I don't know that there's not going to be fake Klingons. Joseph says, I need 1 gabillion money. Yeah, even 1 gabillion anything would probably be valuable. Elihu says, we were Burnham, W.H.E. Burnham, went to the future. They could have just programmed it like Back to the Future 3, Indians charging in a painting. Marty runs into them in real life charging. Yeah, exactly. That's basically, the chances of that were, I mean, not to use a pun, astronomically small. Yitza says, who's doing STD season 3 watch party so I don't have to watch it on my own? Yitza, I'll see. I might do it as watch party format. It wouldn't be the middle of the night. It would probably be this time of the morning. So maybe if you guys are interested, maybe we'll do them as watch parties. Elihu says, if you want to avoid STD, just wear a condom. Yitza says, condoms always rip for him. Wow. Yitza is laughing. Nitpicker says, maybe Janeway will be like Mariner's mom, helping them break rules covertly. Could be. Nitpicker says, Mirrorverse was Janeway. That's true. Janeway did not follow rules. So as an admiral, she might be like, yeah, you know what? Forget the temporal prime directive. I'll help you. I'll help you shoot around the sun and change time. Joseph Patrick says, after the Janeway maneuver, and her and 5 kids survive, are escaping from Starfleet that is chasing them. After the Janeway maneuver, only her and 5 kids survive and are escaping from Starfleet that is chasing them. That could be. So it could be that she's the one adult that's with a bunch of kids and they're escaping Starfleet. Well, guys, this has been fun and long. We're at over 2 hours. Oh, man. Over 2 hours. Mr. Pete says it's possible that Prodigy will take place before Voyager got lost. It's possible. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible. At this point, anything's possible because I literally know nothing about it except it's a cartoon made for kids on Nickelodeon, and the general gist is a group of misfit teens find an abandoned Federation starship and use it to go on adventures. And then the only other thing we know is that somehow Kate Mulgrew is back as Janeway. I don't know if they officially said as Janeway or if we just assume it's as Janeway, but officially Kate Mulgrew is back, presumably as Janeway. That's what we know. Joseph says, I read that. And Joseph says, Bird of Prey, will we get a bed life? Yes, Joseph. And for those who weren't here early on, today is October 9th. Today would have been Dad O'Prey's 69th birthday. So there will be a bed life that's, assuming I am not in pain or whatever with kidney stones, which are still an issue. But if I am feeling okay, there will be a bed life this evening at around normal time, 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. That will be a special tribute to Dad O'Prey. Maybe we'll tell some Dad O'Prey stories. Sis O'Prey should be here, so maybe she can tell a story or two. We'll see. I will tell some stories. We'll remember Dad O'Prey. We'll do Dear Bops, and we'll do the things we do. Might get a chance to play a game or something. We'll see. But yes, there is going to be a bed life tonight, assuming I'm okay. I mean, always, every stream depends on me being okay. But being I've had the kidney stone problems all week, I just want to bring it up. If I can't do it, I will do my best to let you guys know via Twitter and my YouTube community page. But I am planning to stream sometime between 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern this evening. And I hope to see whoever can make it there, obviously. Elihu, who is going to watch Wild Earth? It's a live safari. Qapla, Qapla, Elihu. Robert Green says, hey, Bert, I just recorded my first game vid. What's good editing software to use and edit with? Well, Robert, if you want to learn editing, like long term, you want to become a really good editor, DaVinci Resolve 16. It is free. It's free software. You only have to pay for it if you want to unlock the super advanced editing features that you will never, ever need. It's made for professional Hollywood editing, but it runs great on most computers, and it's the features that are on the free version are more than enough. It's what I use when I edit videos, which isn't as much as I used to. Now, there is a pretty steep learning curve. Like any video editing software, if you've never used it, is going to have a learning curve. So I would suggest if you're going to learn anyway, you learn on Resolve 16, DaVinci Resolve 16. And, just go with that. There is any question you have, you put into Google or you put into YouTube, and you will find videos that tell you how to do everything. If you need to know how to do this or how to do that, how to add audio, how to split. There's tons of videos. That would be my main choice. However, if you don't need all the fancy features and you maybe just want to get to it a little quicker, there is open source software. I believe it's called OpenShot. That is free open source video software. It's a bit easier because it doesn't have all the features of DaVinci. And it's adequate to do your basic video editing. But I use DaVinci Resolve. I would recommend that. But if you have money, if you wanted to pay, Adobe Premiere you have to get Adobe Creative Suite to get Adobe Premiere. You have to pay every month or pay for the year. But Adobe Premiere is the standard video application. And you can do anything on Premiere. But DaVinci Resolve is probably 95% of Premiere for free. So just find one you're comfortable with. Cedric Nitpicker says it's John Lennon's birthday today too. Yeah. Just be okay. I will try my best to be okay, Yosef. Believe me. Yitzis says, okay, hold me. Now, when every ship starts going down, I don't fear nothing. When I hear you say it's going to be okay. Joseph says, good tutorials on the tube. Yes, they have plenty of tutorials. Mr. Peach channel needs 800 subbies. Says Janeway could be the ship's emergency command hologram. Yes, absolutely. That would be good. That would be, I could live with that. Robert Green says, cool. Thank you, Bird. You're welcome, Robert. And congrats. And please let me know once you have your first video out. Yitzi says, Janeway will be like the mommy from the Rugrats and only exist as legs and a voice. I highly doubt that. Robert says, thank you to Joseph. Nitpickers just started learning Premiere. I mean, listen, if you do Premiere, that's great. I decided to do DaVinci because it was free. It's a learning curve, though. I used to do all my videos in Vegas, but Vegas is still a very popular one, but not nearly as popular as Premiere, and it costs money, not as much as Premiere. Well, Vegas you have to buy outright, where Premiere you pay monthly forever. So if you buy a single version of Vegas, in the long run it's cheaper, but they made an upgrade to Vegas every year, so you end up spending probably more money on Vegas, or as much money on Vegas as you do on Premiere, if you want to stay up to date. Mr. Pete says, you're thinking of Nanny from Muppet Babies. That's true. Maybe I'm not sure if it was both. It's been a long time since I've seen Rugrats. And Nitpicker says, someone is sharing Premiere with me, so it's free. Oh, okay, well, in that case, then I would say, yes, you're doing the right thing. Although I'd worry if he ever stopped, or he or she stopped sharing it with you. You don't want to be without any ability to edit, or you'd have to buy your own copy. I don't know. It's just something to keep in the back of your mind. Resolve is free, and if you're going to learn something, I would just learn a free one. But that's your call, nitpickers. You know what you're doing, so I don't need to tell you. Yitza says, yes, that might be correct, Mr. Pete. Nitpicker says, still using iMovie for now. And you know what? If you have a Mac, iMovie is probably enough for most people. Or the Black Maid from Looney Tunes. I think there's been more than one character who sleeps. Oh, Charlie's in his new high chair. Yay, Charlie. Anyway, guys, with that, we're over 2 hours and 15 minutes in. I am going to call it a stream. I have to eat some breakfast and say hello to my lovely nephew, Charlie. And we're going to go. Thank you all so much for being here. I would suggest, if you've got time, check out Star Trek Nitpicker's latest review. He put up the link. Also, check out Loki's Mornings of Mischief. He is streaming now. And, of course, everyone else, a big shout out to all the members of the channel, including Joseph Petrick, Pixelate, who's a first Karogan citizen, JPs, who joined today for the first time, Carlo Albanese, who is he was, I think, our first friend of the channel, Joseph, of course, and thank you all, and Qapla all, and Bird out. How do I end the stream? YouTube changed things up again.